Thank you. Pam Johnson was raised UU in the Unitarian Universalist Church of Meadville, Pennsylvania. Prior to becoming a member at UU-FGC this past December, Pam has been a member of Nacogdoches UU Fellowship, First Jefferson UU of Fort Worth, and Thoreau Woods UU Church in Huntsville. Pam is a clinical social worker and has a private psychotherapy practice. She's married to James Johnson, who is a music therapist and music educator. They have produced almost 200 concerts and musical sermons. They have 3 daughters, 2 sons-in-law, and 8 grandchildren. James will be providing the music for this sermon. Her topic today is Everything Holy Now. Welcome, Pam.
Unmute, Pam.
Thanks, Bets, and thanks everyone for coming today. I will be speaking on the music of Peter Meyer and how it relates to my personal theology. The theme of the month is celebration. When asked to speak, I thought of Peter Meyer's song, Everything is Holy Now, which celebrates everything. Blue Boat Home celebrates the earth and is in the Teal hymnal. My husband James and I were first exposed to Peter Meyer's songs over 10 years ago when we went to see Reverend Michael Dowd's presentation, Thank God for Evolution, 15 years ago. He and his wife, Connie Barlow, a scientist, were traveling the country promoting what they call evolutionary spirituality and the universe story as a theology they believe all religions could share. We heard some of Peter's songs at church and listened to his CDs, and then we went to see him perform at Millbend Coffee House at the Unitarian Church in the Woodlands. Peter belongs to a Unitarian Universalist church in Minnesota and performs at all UU churches and coffee houses all over the country. When we heard he was presenting workshops at the SWUUC Midwinter Conference, we jumped at the chance to go. Mary, I think you're pinned.
I'm sorry?
I think you're pinned. Okay, anyway. Peter Meyer writes songs for a small planet, songs about interconnectedness and the human journey, about the beauty and mystery of the world. Whimsical, humorous, and profound, his music breaks the boundaries of folk and transcends to a realm beyond the everyday love song, to a place of wonder at the very fact of life itself. Peter began playing the guitar and writing songs when he was in high school. He studied theology and music in college and then spent 2 years in seminary. After deciding the priesthood wasn't for him, he took a part-time job as a church music director while performing at clubs and colleges and writing and recording his music. In 1995, he quit his job and started touring full-time. Since then, Peter has gradually gained a dedicated word-of-mouth following, playing shows from Minnesota to Texas, New England to California. He has 9 CDs and has sold over 70,000. Peter's songs speak to me on a spiritual level. He puts into words many of the spiritual thoughts that I was unable to articulate, partly because they were not that clear to me, and also because they're constantly evolving. I am lucky to have been raised UU and spared a lot of the angst that people go through denouncing their childhood religion. I was often humored by what I call silly little rules of religion, where some can't dance or have musical instruments, drink alcohol, play cards, etc. I think I would have found UU on my own. I'm very comfortable being UU and not having to commit to any certain creed or doctrine. I mostly identify as an agnostic, believing the truth cannot be known. I like the excerpt from the first chapter of the Tao Te Ching that says, the Tao is too great to be described by the name Tao. If it could be named so simply, it would not be the eternal Tao. Heaven and earth began from the nameless, but the multitudes of things around us were created by names. We desire to understand the world by giving names to the things we see. But these things are only the effects of something subtle. When we see beyond the desire to use names, we can sense the nameless cause of these effects. The cause and the effects are aspects of the same, one thing. They are both mysterious and profound. At their most mysterious and profound point lies the gate of the great truth. It's a lot easier to identify what I don't believe, but I won't go into that today. I'd like to say, as an agnostic, I'm open to being wrong on what I don't believe, but sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes I've used my difficulty of naming or committing to my belief system as a shield to avoid examining my own spiritual beliefs. When I took Building Your Own Theology course at a UU church, we studied different religions, and I liked certain parts of most religions, but couldn't wholeheartedly support just one. A few years ago, I took a quiz about spiritual beliefs on BeliefNet, which said I agreed with UU 100%. Secular humanist 90%, liberal Quaker 85%, and New Age 70%. I firmly believe in all 7 of our UU principles and believe that going into social work was a spiritual calling stemming from these beliefs. I also take an eclectic counseling approach, studying and practicing different theories, but not committing to any single one. I often think of myself as a humanist. I believe how to behave and treat people is more important than why or how the universe is as it is. I didn't know that much about liberal Quakers when I took the quiz, but I have a good friend that helped me learn more about it. The Religious Society of Friends is an alternative Christianity which emphasizes the personal experience of God in one's life. They affirm the equality of all people before God, regardless of race, station in life, sex, and this belief leads them into a range of social concerns. They find recourse to violence intolerable. They believe that God's revelation is still continuing, that God is not absent or unknowable, but that we can find God ourselves. It is the search for a closer relationship with God. Religious knowledge, like the appreciation of beauty, is not attained by a logical process of thought, but by experience and feeling. Quakers maintain the teaching of Jesus is a practical method for the guidance of the world today, that religion is concerned with the whole of life, and that beyond a certain point, definition becomes a limitation. The part of my New Age beliefs and what attracts me to Peter Meyer's songs is pantheism. I love the pantheism in Native American and pagan spirituality, and I was briefly involved with cups in the 90s. I enjoyed the rituals, and they connected the earth and our fellow creatures in a meaningful way. But the goddesses kept getting in my way. The rational part of my humanism wouldn't allow me personally to translate the goddesses into metaphors of nature. I had nicknamed my eclectic belief system the religion of Pam. However, after I gave this service at another church, another member called me a pantheist. I think that's funny, but it sounds like I think I'm God. And I don't specifically, but I do believe there is God in all of us. Unitarian means one God and denounces the Trinity. If there is a God, I don't think of him as a father or son or any gender or person, but as a Holy Spirit, the spiritual glue that holds the universe together. And I think this spirit is everywhere with no beginning or end. It could be called pantheism, but it's also similar to omnipresence of God. When I was told God was everywhere as a child, I asked, does that mean we pee on God? I was often getting in trouble for my blasphemous questions, but at least not too much at home. And now James is going to sing Everything is Holy Now.
Here's the words that you can kind of follow along. Oh, and maybe I can follow along too. How about that? Okay. So this is Holy Now by Peter Meyer. Oh, the words. Here's the words again. Here we go. When I was a boy each week, Sunday we would go to church, pay attention to the priest. He would read the holy word, consecrate the holy bread. Everyone would kneel and bow. How things have changed since then, 'cause everything is holy now. Everything, everything, everything is holy now. When I was in Sunday school, we would learn about the time Moses split the sea in two. Jesus made the water wine. And I remember feeling sad. Miracles don't happen still. Now I can't keep track, 'cause everything's a miracle. Everything, everything, everything's a miracle. Wine from water is not so small, but an even better magic trick is that anything is here at all. So the challenging thing becomes not to look for miracles, finding where there isn't one. When holy water was rare at best, barely wet my fingertips. Now I can't keep track, like I'm swimming in a sea of it. Used to be a world half there, heaven's second-rate hand-me-down. But I walk it with a reverent air, 'cause everything is holy now. Everything, everything, everything is holy now. Read a questioning child's face, say it's not a testament, that'd be very hard to say. See another new morning come, say it's not a sacrament, tell you that it can't be done. This morning outside I stood, saw a little red-winged bird, shining like a burning bush, singing like a scripture verse. Made me want to bow my head. I remember when church let out, how things have changed since then, 'cause everything is holy now. Used to be a world half there, heaven's second-rate hand-me-down, but I walk it with a reverent air, 'cause everything is holy now. Everything, everything, everything is holy now. Sing it with me. Everything, everything, everything is holy now. Everything, everything, everything is holy now. Yeah, everything, everything, everything is holy now. Thank you.
Thank you, James. When I was researching for this talk, I came upon a sermon given by Richard Hervey at UU Church in Oregon in 2000 entitled, UU Humanists and Pagans, Can This Marriage Be Saved? And he said, yes, and the children will be called scientific pantheists. He states almost all religions have their creation story, and scientific pantheism does too. The only thing remarkable about ours is that it is constantly being discussed, argued about, and changed. The definition of pantheism combines pan and theos to mean all is God. According to the American Heritage Dictionary, pantheism is defined as the doctrine identifying the deity with the various forces and workings of nature. Walter Mandel, via the Scientific Pantheist Email Digest, defines it as pantheism is a religious philosophy that holds there's no supernatural God or gods, but rather that the universe as a whole possesses attributes traditionally attributed to divinity, such as power, magnificence, grandeur, and omnipresence. Pantheists regard the universe itself as sacred. It is all that is, was, and ever will be. Pantheists seek to feel, know, and celebrate its sacredness through love and other profound human experiences, through deep contact with the natural world, through the arts and sciences, and through ethical action. Unitarian and Universalist beliefs have evolved through the years. They started out as enlightened Christians, as an outgrowth of rational examination of Protestant doctrine. Soon thereafter, transcendentalism replaced enlightened Christianity as the dominant Unitarian belief. Then in the 1920s and 30s, humanism moved into Unitarianism and Universalism. At the height of the humanist dominance in the 60s, UU activism in civil rights and anti-war movements had imbued members with a sense of shared identity and purpose. However, in the 70s, UUs joined liberal Protestants in focusing on personal growth and self-development, and more recently, an increase in New Age paganism and pantheism. So will the children of UU pagans and humanists be scientific pantheists? Because it honors the best of both traditions. Ethical living, reverence for humanity and our fellow living beings, and more, reverence that extends beyond to the natural world and the universe. The use of reason, the willingness to revisit our beliefs when new information becomes available, and a willingness to celebrate all of this with our hearts, our feet, our voices, and our imaginations. Carl Sagan once said, a religion that stressed the magnificence of the universe as revealed by modern science might be able to draw forth reserves of reverence and awe hardly touched by conventional faiths. And he felt sooner or later such a religion would emerge. So there are three aspects that a historian of religion, Rudolf Otto, published a classic work. The first and the heart of it was mystery, something that is greater than human comprehension. The second is a sense of awesome, overwhelming power, the power to create and to sustain, but also the power to destroy. Finally, there is a sense of beauty, so breathtaking that you have no choice but to love it. The place that humans first felt those three feelings was in the midst of nature, and looking up at the galaxy that we call home, the Milky Way, I find that fully restoring those feelings to the natural universe can create a completely satisfying and fulfilling alternative to a belief in God or gods. The alternative approach to spirituality goes by many names. Probably the most common today is pantheist, which refers to only God is the universe, God in quotation marks, something you deeply revere. But there are many people with this same approach, maybe even some of you here who call themselves humanists, atheists, naturalists, or pagans. The name is just a label. What matters is the shared acceptance that nature is all there is. We are part of nature, and nature is the ultimate focus of our feelings of reverence, awe, and wonder. When I was a child, I thought everywhere looked about the same, and that I had learned the names of all the countries and all the animals in school. As I got older, I learned I was very wrong. And that is one of the reasons that I love to travel, to see the beauty in the world, the unique geography, flora, fauna, wildlife, culture, and of each person and place. I often feel most spiritual looking at something that I haven't seen before, slightly changing my worldview. Even though I revel in the differences, it strikes me that people are more the same than different. All over the world, people gather together to talk, laugh, love, eat, and build sandcastles on the beach. Dr. Harrison once stated, "We are all part of it. Each one of us in this room, all humans, all living things on the planet, all stars, we are in it together." The key lies in the feeling that connection more deeply with humans, animals, planets, plants, rocks, rivers, and the sky at night, and deepening that connection in every way we can. It can lead to a life that's well lived and felt and enjoyed more intensely. It is an invitation to true mindfulness in everything we do, both in human contexts and in nature, similar to parts of Zen Buddhism. It means living responsibly, not just in how we act with other humans, but how we interact with nature, what we consume, what we waste, and how we dispose of it. And it means doing that not just as individuals, but as families and social groups, because we all live in the same blue boat. Namaste.
Thank you, Pam. Lots to think about, and I think a lot of agreement among the group. The closing words are from Tom Schad. My friends, there is a power at work in the universe. It works through human hands, but it was not made by human hands. It is a creative, sustaining, and transforming power, and we can trust that power with our lives and with our ministries. It will sustain us wherever we take a stand on the side of love, whenever we take a stand for peace and justice, whenever we take a risk. Trust in that power. We are together, held by that power.